Gentlemen, ladies, it's the Market Sniper, yes, coming at you on a Sunday. So, this is the crazy world that we happen to be in at the moment right now. That essentially you have central banks the world over, my friends and beautiful people, that are all actively engaging in the debt markets. So, we have the Japanese on Japanese bonds without BOJ, Bank of Japan, buying and liquidity providing. We're just providing liquidity. It sounds like such a nice technical term. What it means is let's just be absolutely patently correct and accurate about this surgically, rather biologically sounding words and wordy phrase, word salads that they generate as technical economic terms that make you sound so inferior of intellect to these wordy queens. Liquidity providing means absence of a buy stack and big presence of a sell stack that is coming down fast and nobody is there. Nobody is there. In short, the valuation of a hyper overvalued, super abundant debt market that is being sustained at a certain value is absolutely, quite rightly, unsustainable, because that which is not scarce does not need to command a high price, especially since our turn call on the bond markets some time ago. We can go and dig that one out for you on the debt markets, which was around about March 2020. In fact, I've shown it so many times, I'll give you a rest from it. If you have any doubts, look at our previous videos. So you've got Japan doing yield curve control. Yield curve. That basically means interest rates. In other words, we'd like to keep the amount of interest we get charged for our over borrowings really low. So we'll print up our currency and proliferate, utilize that which we print, because that's the only thing we have power of, the ability to print our own currency. Take tons of that money and throw it into this bottomless pit of uselessness, which is creating a bid for an asset class that everybody has realized they all mega long of and need to be actually short of: the proliferation of debt. A call we made in August of 2020 on the one of the highest points of the 10-year treasury bill, the TLT, and everything. We said you will come crashing down for a neckline that will lead to a head and shoulders. You're likely to have a rally for a right shoulder, and then you will crash through that neckline and go below 89. This was when it was way up 140s, 150s on the TLT. Looks like I'm just going to have to bring that chart up after talking about it so much, because I can visualize it, but some of you are going, what's he talking about? What's he talking about? I can't see that. Seeing is, in fact, believing. So let's have a look again at this monthly chart. That was it. Let's go weekly, actually. It's a bit intense. That was the first inverted in a new trend. You had spiked so high, up to virtually 180, slap in the face, come back up, and you were sitting around these areas. Everyone was going, buy bonds, wear diamonds. We're going Japanification, which meant actually deflation, they were meaning. We are going Japanese, but it's in a different way, not in the deflationary way. And that triggering event was clear. You also could have got shorted at 163. We said you will make a head and shoulders, you will run 89, which was our then target on the head and shoulders. You have run the head and shoulders target of 100 at the moment, and we're expecting overperformance to the downside. This is a secular mega long-term turn in one of the most proliferated Ponzi markets ever created, the debt markets. And you will, in our opinion, run these lows of 2003, and you're missing the 90s, the 80s, and the 70s to truly understand what a turning event this is. This should all be going to zero. Nobody wants it. And what's happening? Those very same central banks are trying to maintain the game. So in essence, all the buildings, main structural beams, have now been severed, and they've put props underneath it to hold it up with a string, waiting till everybody's synchronized, ready to go to pull the prop out. the little joist there and the joist there and a couple of cement blocks, and they're going to pull one of them out, and the entire, simultaneously, all the major structural elements of the financial system will come simultaneously crashing down. That will lead to an explosion of headlines that will cause confusion, and you will have geopolitical events, escalation in war, quite possibly nuclear. The provocation on Russia is beyond my even level of understanding what the guys are getting up to. By the way, in case you just thought that's Japan, so Italy and French bonds have been bought up, and a whole bunch more. Never mind that the ECB has actually been buying corporate bonds, business companies as well. There isn't a debt market. They aren't ready to wade in and be the bidder, the dumb money. Your central banks have voted themselves as toxic bank to take all toxic assets off all private institutions, funding institutions, and pension funds. But even with all the buying in the world, there is too much garbage. They have too much to sell. They cannot absorb it all. 65 billion isn't enough in the Britain's case. The UK gilts market, without the BOE and without the liquidity provision, your gilts, that is the golden edge certificate, painted in gold, because the British government is good for it, king and country. They aren't just any debt. You can call them gilts. Wow. Amazing. What an amazing marketing event in a name of a currency that actually dares to call itself sterling. Sterling, my friends, is for silver, and silver is real money. Everything else is currency, excluding gold. Gold joins silver as real money. So, with your pensions stuffed with all of the above, including corporate debt, and your understanding that debt markets intertwine with bank markets. So pension funds and banks intertwine. A bankrupt, completely go to zero debt market, where the super spike in interest rates is going to utterly destroy your housing market. It is utterly going to destroy your banks. And those zero bankrupt pension funds will lead to bail-ins on banks. Bail-ins or complete failure in banks. The money you have right now in a bank is no longer good, safe money. The money you have with government, and we are doing a deposit guarantee scheme, up to £80,000. Oh, come on, guys. Come on. That's mealy-mouthed music to make you be complacent. They need your complacency so that you can be shocked and the building can fall on top of you. They don't want you awake, far away from the scene of the crime, safe, tucked up, stacked with silver and gold, and going destroy your digitalized Ponzi scheme that you've proliferated, this monstrosity of over to the extreme worldliness of debt that nobody wants in an increasing interest rate environment at the end of a 40-year bull market that nobody else saw the reversal. We never called a reversal on the debt markets before until that moment. Yes, friends, that is why you go to our channel. You hit our channel and you go right there and you find the notes.
It's very rare.
It is very rare to find the notes. Click on one of our latest video tubes. Any one of them will do. And what do? You saunter on down to show me more, and you will find pure gold. Pure gold. If you're in the European or Middle Eastern markets, South African markets, you will find pure gold. You will also find bullion vault. Bullion vault for dollar cost averaging in, pound cost averaging in, euro cost averaging in. Buy your internet gold on there, and then once you have 10 grand or 5 grand, flip it into physical. Go to the Pure Gold site. Let's just see where's the link. It should be there for gold and silver purchases. Bullion vault, FTX, precious metals. Order here, Pure Gold. There is your link, right there for you. Go and grab it delivered to your door. You can go to their site. Go to the site. See what's there. What you don't hold, friends, you don't have. That moment is coming. There's the Bank of England right there. There's what's going on. Joshua Shaw's company. We'll be having him back on our channel, by the way. And you can buy real physical gold. You can buy silver. There's Joshua on CNBC. You'll see him again. We'll be interviewing him again. We've interviewed him before. I've met him a number of times. They do what they say on the tin. They will deliver you fresh. Smells good. feels like real money. Hold that in your hand and then doubt that that is real money. Anyway, so going back to our discussion, there's two things I'm talking to you about. The debt market is, the death of the debt market is, my friends, the death of money. This swan dive, you suddenly think there's a bid going to show up here and save it. The only buyer right now is central banks. The only buyer, and these are not for profit buyers. These are for force of needing to keep the Ponzi scheme proliferating. We also predicted, and this I did when QE first came out in 2008, I said the day will come when they will raise rates on one end and they will do quantitative easing, debt-based purchasing and support on the other. This is your bonfire, and they'll pour water on one end of the fire and petrol on the other. And guess what? All you do is move the fire a little to the left. That's all you do. And it grows a whole bunch hotter on that one side and burns even more furiously. That moment has arrived. The ECB is raising rates, but is also committed to buying more government bonds, French and Italian and others. Never mind the fact that they are big holders of Porsche corporate debt, VW Porsche corporate debt. They're in the corporate debt market. Now they are becoming the equivalent of Japan. That is an active owner of 62% of the bond market and an incredible amount of equities as well. I don't have the accurate percentage, so I'll not have it a guess. But as you can see, that moment of doing two things that we predicted that are utterly contrary, proliferating money to support a value of a debt while tightening interest rates, being seen in the name of fighting inflation. In the name of fighting inflation, you do not print up more currency that further deflates the value of your currency to maintain a Ponzi scheme. Without bankruptcy, there is no capitalism. And we have a system of no pain and no bankruptcy since the dot-com crash. In fact, from well before, but it got highlighted in the dot-com crash, the great financial crisis, and you're seeing it again now with ever greater involvement of the central banking cartel that are there to Ponzi up and hold those structural pillars up until the great takedown, when they pull the wigwam and tent down on top of all of you, and you get force-fed central bank digital tokens and a whole bunch else, such as food shortages and everything else, to keep you reeling in geopolitical wars, supply chain issues, that you can't see the skullduggery of the end of money. Because the death of what gets borrowed into existence, if that asset dies, the money dies too. And that money, those assets are other people's liabilities. Those liabilities are other people's assets. At the end of the day, it is a takedown. You cannot have the failure of the debt system without having the failure of the banking system. You cannot have the failure of the pension industry without having the failure of your bank accounts. The money you have in your bank accounts. Right now, pensions are getting margin calls in the UK and are dumping bonds, equities and other things to raise cash, to make payments on other people's money. They are short of liquid cash to honor existing pensions. How do you feel if you're 55 right now, waiting 5 years out for your pension, and they are doing a fire sale just to pay the 80-year-olds, the 70-year-olds, the 65-year-olds that have gone before you? Do you think you're going to get a meal at that point? They're busy chopping the trees down to feed the old guys bark, and it'll be your turn, and you've got to wait 5 years, and you've been contributing your whole goddamn life. You're about to be hustled. You're about to be hustled in a central bank digital token UBI smorgasfest of skullduggery, smoke and mirrors, and poof, poof, poof. Here's Aladdin, and there she goes, and now she's gone. And you are left holding digitalized tokens that have been conjured up by the everyday crypto scammer before the central bank digital tokens, before this big collapse. You've seen them all. Now you're going to see the biggest and the most sophisticated of crypto scam creations and pumpermentals that you've ever seen before, sold with new confidence. This is the new way. We will have a more equitable society. We will be able to be more green and monitor those that are making positive contributions, meaning we will punish those who aren't. Ergo, what's going on in PayPal right now, cancel all your PayPal accounts. You must punish the demons, the Satanists, and the occultists that are coming to steal from you. Here they go. Every single prediction we make is dropping. the day that the martial law will be declared and your own troops will be shooting on your own citizens in a social unrest, riots, lack of food, supply chain breakdown is all coming, my friends. Order out of chaos. They will create that chaos and they will create the order they want. So the other part of my lovely little narrative that I give you for your weekend perusal and enjoyment is the fact that it's time someone stood up for a superficial black man. And you want to say, superficial black man? Why you say such a thing? Well, there's a guy called Kwasi Kwarteng. Way, he was there, now he's gone. There we go. Kwasi Kwarteng. Superficial black man. Now you might ask, why would I say something like that? Well, Labour MPs appear to claim that Kwasi Kwarteng is superficially a black man. That means, despite his very black face and his very black skin and pigmentation, Labour do not consider him of African heritage. He is superficial. And we have, it looks like a Labour Indian lady that is referring to him as superficially black. MP Rupa Huck. Miss Huck appeared to be speaking at an event in Liverpool. What's next for the agenda on race? It's a disgusting comment, say some. He looks like a black gentleman to me. Well, I'm here to stand up for him, not because I like him, not because he deserves it, but they are very good at scapegoating one person, particularly to carry an event. The mini budget was indeed a disaster. However, the principle of trying to stimulate an economy in a downturn is actually a good idea. Giving more of the tax cuts to the top end instead of the bottom end, not so good an idea, but pretty Tory and pretty typical. And they then say, well, the Bank of England, the official story has come in to clean up the mess and provided 65 billion. By the way, the annual defence budget, 35 billion of the UK. Almost 80% more, 1.8 times, set aside for liquidity provision. You know what I think of that word now? In the absence of bid, maintaining the Ponzi of debt. That is what liquidity provision. Every time you hear that phrase, liquidity provision, Ponzi maintenance fund, plunge protection for Ponzi scheme until official takedown day. Yes? Comprehendo? Good. I'm glad we get a couple of things properly clear. Until the World Economic Forum's firing of the pistol for that eventuality, it is just wasted money. Anyway, going back to this point, why am I supporting this man? Well, first of all, I'm not supporting him. I don't support any of them. None of these politicians work for you. But the notion, some of the tweets that I see is absolutely fascinating in terms of the BOE. For example, there's one that says, when Gordon Brown left, we had a AAA rating. We had 2.1 to the pound. We were, top dog, etc., etc. Well, the Gordon Browns and the Tony Blairs of this world were the light touch, were the proliferation of debt, were the fundamentals of the property market that got everybody over indebted, got the banks over lending. They were the coordinated, synchronized leper in the leper colony that had to dance with all the others and have one of the biggest property booms and subsequent dumps during the great financial crisis with their light touch regulations. Ergo Gordon Brown, who also sold Brown's Bottom, most of 300 tons of Britain's gold at the near lows. That is the real money, the real family silver of Britain. So I'm scanning quickly to see any of these Labour glorification. Remember, their game is to keep you in the left versus right paradigm so that you yourself will then think, okay, black didn't work, vote white. Blue didn't work, vote red. Oh, red didn't work, vote blue. Keep reversing backwards and forwards as if pivoting between two posts is ever going to give you the outcome you need. So let's get to the point. What actually happened? If you look on this chart on the GBP USD, so having verified where we're going, already we had a high of 142 over here. That was the head being made in June of 21. Kwarteng was not in office at that point. He would have been an MP. Neither was Truss. I loathe Truss. She's horrible. She threw him under the bus and said, well, it was kind of his idea, and didn't officially support him. So as usual, they absolute den of two-faced thieves, even when they're working on the same team. But this Head and Shoulders triggered over here with a very nice little squeezy on its neckline, roughly at 136 after making a 142 high, and has been in decline throughout. And we can also make clear that the Bank of England under Bailey, another World Economic Forum occultist, cartelist, money proliferating, synchronized cult member, has absolutely fallen behind the curve throughout this period. America was increasing by 0.75. Britain increased by 0.5. The last interest rate hike was again 0.5, America by 0.75. America now on 3.25 rates, Britain now on 2.25 rates. I also showed previously on YouTube the debt markets that again I highlight. Sometimes you just have to hear and see things repeatedly for it to actually sink in. British debt is falling faster in value than American. As a result, the currency falls faster than American. As a result, your pound is going to die. As a result, get out of the pound. As a result, your pension is going to die. Get out of your pensions, get them into self-invested personal pensions and put them in gold, physical gold. As a result of all of that, your banking system is going to die. As a result of that, the cash in your banks is going to disappear and you will be offered in lieu of lost cash. In fact, you'll be offered, but if you decline the offer, you will just not get anything and you will go without. So it's an offer you can't refuse because you either get nothing or you take what they're going. There's going to be no haggling or negotiating. And you will see that this debt has accelerated past that of American, and we can show you how that's changed. Now, we need to get that lock off, and you can see how British debt has chundered up further. And I told everybody, you must watch the debt markets to know where your currency markets is going. The differential between the British is now British debt devaluing faster with a higher yield than American debt, where previously it was the other way around. So we have flippened, and we started to accelerate a lot quicker from this August 22. But as I showed you on the GBP USD chart, that the GBP USD was actually falling from March 2021. From March 2021, it was falling faster than anything else, and it eventually went into a capitulation on the mini budget news that came out, and that was on how you're going to fund this. It's great to have a stimulatory budget, but how are you going to fund it? The problem was the setup before, and everything that went before it. That includes Blair and Brown and all politicians before that. That created a debt bubble at super low interest rate rises during a period of globalization, that now you've decided to bifurcate and divide the world in half, declare war on half the world, and refuse to purchase from half the world energy sources, and have created that much inflation and printed that much during COVID. You have utterly created the entire systems takedown, and in a totally globally synchronized way where there are no nations chasing sound finance, that we are all fall down, and you are in a new world order system already. Your petrodollar was your global tax, and now you're going to see it more clearly than ever before, and lockstep is coming, and you need to focus on reset right now. Your assets, your retirement, whether you care for retirement or not, whether it's 30 years away or not, you've got to get wise about protecting your wealth. Otherwise, you will have nothing left to protect. And that's apart from a few central bank digital tokens that you could be fined for saying the wrong things on social media if you happen to make the wrong kind of utterances. Believe you me, I'm not expecting to have many. If the current means of what I'm doing to protect myself do not work, I'm on my own. By that, I realize that is the cost of me preaching truth to you about a bunch of Ponzi scammers that are just macro versions of crypto scammers that are going to be dropping a central bank highly centralized token on you that they will surveil you and all your spending and give you scores, points, good, bad, and ugly, with deductions and everything else. And they will create inflation and they will create deflation by uniformly taking out of your wallets. They will give you time tokens that will force you to spend them in a certain time. They will have you dancing to their tune, Bubby. When they hit that Billie Jean, you're going to make like Michael Jackson, and that is who it is. You're going to dance, boy. You have become their girly man, ready to jive anytime they say in terms of their surveillance finance. So that is where we're at. The debt market failure is the system failure. Debt markets are failing right now. The central banks having to provide liquidity is absolute proof that no one wants to buy, and everyone has realized that the cycle has turned and debt could end up being worth zero. There could be entire defaults. Of course, they'll give you something for it. They're going to give you UBI, central bank. You won't get absolutely nothing for your pension. You're just going to get raped in a take it or leave it deal, just like the people who got bailed in Cyprus banks. You just got some absolutely worthless shares in an absolutely wrecked, bankrupt bank that you can't sell, and everybody else has got to try sell. Good luck. Yeah, you lost $500,000 that got cut in half. No worries. You got shares. Fine. You weren't really screwed. You got something in lieu. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, boys and girls. This is where we're heading. Okay, so it's time for you. Pop over to the Pure Gold site. Go and grab for yourself what you need to do to get out of it. Watch the videos. Check it out. They like to speak to their customers. Call now. That's a UK number. Drop the O. They deliver just about everywhere. I think Australia and Nigeria might be problems. I think everywhere else not. We have other solutions for people. You probably even get delivered in the States as well. Verify that. I must check. I'll ask Joshua when we speak at the end. Okay, that's it from me, guys. This is how many times you're going to get these warnings. I can't count that. I'm going to repeat this kind of a clip again very soon. This is it. This pound is in a head and shoulders, according to me, with a likely neckline. We'll probably run 108. It'll probably carry on a little further, then bounce. We're likely to get some form of big macro continuation pattern and then a further sell-off. We have said pound below parity, definitely, in our opinion. Definitely, maybe. Remember, there's nothing that's definite. We've said euro into the 0.8s and possibly below. We've said euro Swiss franc, 0.69s, 0.7s. We have given you all the plays on the FX markets. The FX markets are the new crypto markets. It's part of the failure of debt. The foreign exchange differentials are the big FX moving points. Okay, thanks for watching, and I look forward to catching up with you again. Book a call to become a member of our community in reset times. We set out to this business to help people in reset times. We were the reset sniper before World Economic Forum stole the phrase. We called the bond market 2 years before. If you want the news 2 years before, if you want to be really prepped, this is your community. Watching charts, watching the follow of money, and preparing for reset times through the Market Sniper, the Crypto Sniper, and the Reset Sniper. Thank you for watching. Give us a share and a like as well. It's greatly appreciated. Bye for now.